today we'll be starting with the very first part of reading, which is called reading from correspondence. Reading from correspondence, the number of questions that you get are 11, and the time also is 11 minutes, which means effectively we have 1 minute per question. Now, reading correspondence, just as the name suggests, there will always be some letter or email to your left, and to the right, you have your questions. So, today I'll handhold you through each question so that you understand how to answer these questions within a minute each. You have 11 minutes, so we're just taking a time estimate of about 1 minute per question. So you can always read the correspondence to understand what it really is about, but don't read the whole correspondence. Just about 2 to 3 lines, like we can see Dear Ellie, and they are talking about the neighborhood around the office. And also, you can see any information which is given about the person who is writing. This just gives you a little idea of what the correspondence is about, but detailed reading is not recommended. Okay, now let's go in for the very first question. The first question says, is Michael prioritizes restaurants with? Now, in CELPIP, you always have four options that you have to select from, and these four options are slightly close to each other, but part one and part two are basic. It's part three and four where major issues come in. We will be discussing them in the next videos, but let's start with the very first one. Now, in this, prioritizes restaurants with. So, I'm looking for the word prioritizes, and we start skimming. Skimming means you'll drop lines. Like you can see the first, the second, and now we're moving right there. Now, here I can see priorities. His priorities are what? Unique cuisines, creative beverages, outdoor seating. So, we do have some information about his priorities. We look at the four options. The four options, the first answer is fast food. Fast food is not mentioned. Crowded, lively atmospheres, not given. Celebrity chef endorsements, again not mentioned, but we do have information about outdoor seating, which indirectly also means rooftop or garden seating. So that's your first answer. Now we go to the second question. Second talks about dishes. So, what kind of dishes does he want? Always glance at your four options, that helps you understand what you're really looking for. Now, dishes could be dishes or it could be in synonym form also. So, here when we see this, we can see lesser known international dishes. We do have unique cuisines also, but nothing about what dishes he likes. So we keep reading further on just to see if there's any food which has been mentioned, which also has these four options or either of the four options in it. And as we skim further, we can see words which tend to match. Like here, we can say, I'm craving. Craving means what? He seeks. Craving authenticity over trendy fusion. So that is what he's really looking for. And here we have something which is authentically regional. Regional we got from all the examples that he talked about here. So we have selected our answer. Now let's go for question 3. Question 3 says, for beverages, he's curious about. Now he's curious about what? Beverages, drinks, tea, coffee, cocktails is what we are looking for. And as we move further on, we can see drinks given. But what intrigues him? He says local specialities. But let's go further ahead and read any other information which is given, and this is your sentence to focus on. If you see here, he does talk about regional herbs and cocktails, which is also mentioned in the four options. So if you see the four options, it clearly states cocktails with local herbs. So regional, local, almost similar. So that's your answer. Now let's go for question 4. Question 4 says Michael wants to balance occasional splurges with. So now the word is what? Splurges. We are looking for anything which could mean splurge or the word splurge itself. So in base level tests, mostly you will find some direct references. Like here we can see, while I don't mind splurging occasionally, I'd appreciate a mix of affordable lunch spots. So now he says, I don't mind splurging, but when it comes to what? So we have our four options. Out of them, do we have anything? Yes, mix of affordable lunch spots, affordable options. That's your answer. Okay, now the fifth one says he'd enjoy venues. So we're looking for venue places that combine dining with what? Now you move further ahead. Now it's not mandatory that it will be in sequence, but most of the time they try to keep it in sequence. But sometimes, if you're not able to find the word you're looking for ahead of your last one, you can always move back. Now we can see venues. Venues is what we're really looking for, and anything that mentions it, yes, it is right there. Venues host live jazz or cultural nights. That be a huge plus. Now he'd enjoy venues that combine dining with what? Let's see, dining with what are our four options? We do have live jazz. So that's your answer. To avoid wasting time, he asks about, again, four options given. So to avoid wasting any time. Now that's not a direct reference, but lastly, any tips on peak hours, avoiding crowds during peak hours? This is what he wants to know. And we can see that in the four options, they have talked about peak hour crowds. So that's the answer we will select. Okay, now questions 7 to 11 will have a slightly different approach. It's more about remembering what you've already read. So, if you remember, they talked about fusion food, which was mentioned, like, say, on the drinks front, I'm intrigued by local specialities. And then he talks about lavender infused lattes. So, similarly, here, when they are referring to the question, they are actually talking about something he has mentioned, but it may not be in a direct reference like the previous ones. So here, if you see matcha blend, and then we select signature tea blends because the others have not been talked about in this specific line, it's clear that he likes any kind of cocktail or any kind of drink which has some infusion in it, or it should be a local speciality. Another thing that is mentioned here is experiments. So experiments also is an indication that signature tea blends is what he would like. The next one here, Global Bowls on Fifth Street has. Now here we are again going back to the same sentences based on his preferences and priorities in food. We can go with fusion street food. Why are we selecting this? Because he did not mention that vegetarian option is what he prefers or any of the others. His main reference has always been about fusion street food. Now, question 9, Sunset Patio offers river views. This from memory, we remember that we answered it in the beginning, and he said he likes anything which is outdoors and rooftops. We had already answered this question. So, based on that, again, outdoor seating. Same thing for the 10th one. It says if you're into ambience plus entertainment, the Lantern hosts Dash every Thursday. So again, we are looking at ambience and entertainment, and from whatever references that we had before, they did talk about a lot of things around artist launch sessions. So Lantern hosts a session because this person likes live sessions. So host live jazz, if you see it here, or cultural nights, that would be a huge plus. So that's where this answer is coming from. And finally, the 10th one, where it says avoid global bowls noon 1 p.m. And then we are talking about let me know which one you like the most once you. Now, this information is more or less based on the overall of this correspondence. So, if we look at the options which come through, it would just be have visited these spots.